Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Head Coach Ross of the Attacks Gym, Street Warriors, Njia Uhuru Kipura. And as most of you know by now, Njia Uhuru is a Swahili term that means the way of freedom. Kipura is the ancient African fighting system from the Kingdom of Congo. Actually predates the actual Kingdom of Congo, but from the area of the Congo, which the European powers mispronounced as Capoeira. Okay, now what is spawning this morning get down today? Here's what it is, basically. I've been having this intermittently a discussion regarding what is miscalled Capoeira de Angola, and I'm putting the facts down in regards to that. You know, yes, Capoeira de Angola is a misnomer. Capoeira is the mispronunciation of Kipura. De Angola, as I've said any number of times, and I've proven any number of times by citing the relevant world-leading academic sources and the people of Ndongo, the Mbundu themselves. Angola is a mispronunciation of the Mbundu term Ngola, Ngola, Ngola. Ngola has multiple meanings, and they are the following. Ngola refers to the office of the ruler of the Mbundu people. Well, specifically of the ruler of the Ndongo and the Ndongo Matamba kingdom. And it was founded first by Kilwanje, Ngola Kilwanje. It was also called Ngola Inenye. Okay. It refers also to the fighting art that the Imbangala, who came from Kingdom of Congo, which is really the Empire of Congo. These came specifically more from Lunda, which is part of the Empire of Congo. Brought the Imbangala, these incredible raiding warriors, brought their flavor of Kipura to the southern section of Angola, Ndongo, the Kingdom of Ndongo, and they imparted their skills to their descendants there, who engaged in the famous the zebra dance. They are called Nene, the Ovim Bangala, etc., so on and so forth. Okay, so that is the second meaning. There's also two more meanings. In that art, there are three applications to it. One is the war application. The other is a social application. Again, the zebra dance, and that's more akin to. Let me explain to you the difference. The war application is I'm killing, slaughterhouse, weapons, grappling, multi fights, everything that you can think of that deals with combat in any of its forms. Okay, the celebration, the contests that were held in the villages and in the cities regarding the quote-unquote zebra dance were actually more like, think of it like this. If you're from the Americas or from the United States, from Europe, think of it more like this. Imagine that you're having a holiday, festival celebration, Martin Luther King's birthday, Independence Day, or whatever your equivalent thereof is. And as part of these celebrations, the local businesses, the local schools, like the local karate schools, the local boxing schools, the local whatever schools, local Kipura schools, which you mispronounce as Capoeira, all come out and they show what they can do. They have impromptu or organized tournaments, and they apply their skills there. The focus there is more toward fun. The competition get pretty intense, but it wouldn't get really seriously intense in the way that it would be if it was a prize fighting type of a match, or of course if it was a real fight or self-defense situation. So that's the kind of thing that you can expect when you're dealing with the zebra dance. It's just organized along the village-wide, city-wide, statewide. Okay, so and then of course the least talked about aspect of it in the motherland, but which is completely understood to be as part and parcel of the fabric of the discussion, because it really is, that is the self-defense applications. Now, What is the distinction here? The self-defense application is when you are defending yourself versus criminal assault. Period. Now, in the motherland, there weren't many criminal assaults. There just really weren't. Crime was not a major issue in the motherland. When it went down, it went down. But it rarely went down. That's just the truth. Now, there are zero, as in none, zero, self-defense applications in so-called Capoeira de Angola today. I'm going to say that again. There are zero, as in none, self-defense applications in Capoeira de Angola today. I hate to use that phrase again, and for the rest of this video, I'm not going to say quote-unquote Capoeira de Angola, because that's me perpetuating, a very offensive and heinous phrase and name. For those of you who think that the name Capoeira de Angola is not offensive and heinous, let me remind you what we're talking about here. This phrase was applied to our art by people who hated, who were entirely invested in racial hatred in every phrase, in every type of method against us, and who wanted to see the extermination of the art and its practitioners. This would be much worse than, say, the Nazis creating their own Nazi German phrase for Jewish Krav Maga, and then seeking to exterminate Krav Maga and its practitioners, failing, but then determining that, Krav Maga and the European Jews who created and practiced it should accept without qualm or concern the derogatory Nazi Germany term for their art. Put in that way, almost everybody can see why such a idea, such a label, should be rejected and expelled in the most severe and intense way right away. But the moment that the color switches, that the victims are us, those of African phenotype and blood, all of a sudden becomes an issue of debate. No, it doesn't. If it's an issue of debate for you, it's because you are a racist. You have accepted racist thought at the very least, and you subscribe to the miseducation and the propaganda that racists, the most repellent human beings on our planet, in the existence of our planet, the worst kind of possible racists ever, have created and have sought to teach you and accept insofar as their narrative is concerned, over the word of the blood-descended practitioners who are better than they are by far with the art, knows more, can do more, and proves it. Think about that. Let that settle and marinate for a second. So, I'm going to call the art by one of its correct phrases, which is Imbundu Kibura. Imbundu referring to the ethnic group of the Imbundu people who occupy the kingdom of Ndongo and Matamba. Kibura is the fighting system that proliferated throughout the empire of Congo, of which the kingdom of Ndongo was part. Okay? All right. Now, with that being said, you understand now why I say, hey, you know what? There's no such thing as that previous stuff, the label that they use in Brazil and that they've popularized all over the world. That same label, by the way, is why many people who are pro-Brazilian in their research repeatedly state that they can't find the art in the motherland. Yeah, it's because nobody spoke Portuguese there natively. So you go into Africa looking for Portuguese interpretations, Portuguese labels, Portuguese cultural definitions. You won't find them because you're in Africa. You see how that works? The non-Portuguese thing, because you're in Africa, just like anybody from the Kingdom of Congo wouldn't go to Lisbon expecting to find the anything from the Kingdom of Congo. See how that works? Yeah. Okay then. Now, let me further explain the other issue which has set a lot of people's hair on fire when I said there are zero self-defense training in the Brazilian diluted version of Imbundu Kipura. Well, when I say that, I'm referring to the more modern practice, and especially the lineages associated with Pastina. This is not a diss on Pastina. I'm talking about the lineages associated with Pastina. Here's why. We all know that during these periods of time, my ancestors had to deal with colonial slavery, chattel slavery, the worst form of slavery in human history, which did not exist until the Europeans made it up. Given the kinds of relentless, systemic, almost superhuman horrors and brutalities mandated by such a system, of course, every single practitioner of Imbundu Kipura was highly adept at self-defense. They had no choice. You either had to be adept at self-defense or you perished. It's that simple. Since that point in time, and especially since the rise of the military government of Brazil in 1964, the art has been removed from the African communities and placed squarely within the controls of the middle class and upper class white communities of Brazil and the rich communities of Brazil, all of whom are class-wise opposed to we of African blood, and race-wise also opposed to we of African blood, because the foundation of Brazil is that of racism. It was a slave colony, just like the United States, exactly the same in that regard. So, the moment that the direction and the care of the art was forcibly removed from Mestres Bimba and Pastina and their direct students, that is the moment that the art ceased any hope of being applicable in self-defense, ceased any hope of retaining its African character, history, language, culture, etc., so on and so forth. This is why they want the Brazil-centric, the Brazil-oriented practitioners of the art also are not able to directly connect to you why the knowledge of the spiritual systems like the Orisha, the Inquisi, or any and every one of the spiritual systems in the motherland directly impact, inform, and synergistically amplify all of the skills, all of the applications, all of the history, all of the knowledge, fills in all of the gaps that deals with the practice of the art itself. For those of you who don't know, you don't know. So you don't understand why the postures and the stances and what have you of our system have names reflective of the languages from which they derive, and why it's so critically important to know this. I'll give you a tiny window into this. There is a very popular posture in cardio capoeira, which is called the negativa. All right, that technique is not at all called the negativa, for real, not even close. It has a number of terms that are all utilized in African languages and reflect its application, the culture of the area and the warriors of the areas who use that particular technique, their philosophy, etc., so on and so forth. All right. By that, and I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by that. In my system, Njia Uhuru Kipura, that posture is called Mkao Ya Oshosi, the posture of Oshosi. It deals with the Orisha Oshosi primarily. All of the Orishas utilize that posture, but that posture is especially associated with the Orisha Oshosi. And all of the pataki, all of the specifics, all of the characteristics, all of the lessons all of the skills, including the dances, etc., so on and so forth, associated with Oshosi, are of primary importance in the application of that posture and that technique. This has the most fundamental impact in every single possible way in the teaching of that technique and its application. It very much emphasizes weapon use, offensive striking, comprehensive full scope grappling, full scope, close body to body contact. Knowing the specific methods and approaches of the Orisha Oshosi also inform the healing and exercise and meditative practices of the art as well. I was just watching some seagulls flying overhead, and you know what seagulls do if they get overhead. So I was getting my zigzag on, my ngoma ya udangan yifu, to avoid being the latest dropped on victim of seagulls. Anyway, back to Oshosi. Learning this information as a foundation for the application of that posture, and then spiraling outward to all of the 401 plus Orisha, Nkizi, or any other of these spiritual systems, or all of the spiritual systems that you may know or in the motherland, have the most comprehensive impact upon your teaching. You will learn in a fundamental way that millennia before Bruce Lee was born, we Africans stated and practiced the notion of utilizing that which works and ejecting that which does not. And not only did we make that statement, we also ingrained within the practice of the art the actual application. So you'd be subjected to a myriad of stimulus, a myriad of requirements, so that you really start really going through the experience of being able to catalog, being able to sift through, being able to experience and apply a wide variety of skills, no matter what they are, to your particular postures. And that gives you a very concrete, a very empirical understanding of the concept of, hey, be efficient, be effective, be direct, apply that which works and eject that which does not. Those things are nice things to say. They sound sweet, but you have to have a modality, a method, a protocol to apply in order to actually incarnate, in order to embody, in order to actually bring that concept to life in your day-to-day, moment by moment, hour by hour, second by second training, and in your life. None of this exists in the Brazilian-centric art that has been diluted from Imbundu Kipura. That's why I say what I'm saying. Now, does that mean that there are not exceptional individuals who, as individuals, may do what I'm talking about? Absolutely not. In fact, individuals simply underscore the rule. If only a handful of people do such and such, that means that the rule is correct. The majority do not. But also the fact is, the great majority of people who claim that they do not do so. Look at their practices. Ask them simple stuff. Okay, you know what? Oh, you do this with your Brazil-centric diluted version. All right, teach me an armbar escape. Teach me how to deal with multi-fights. Teach me how to apply your version of the Mkauya Oshosi while I'm seated in a chair, to avoid drive-bys, to avoid mass shootings. Show me how to do that for meditation, for exercise. Show me how to do that to heal injuries. Connect that to the history we have. Connect it to the Pataki of Oshosi. Show women how to utilize their unique center of gravity and their structure with those variations of the postures in order to overcome not only a single male assault attacker who may be looking for some kind of sexual assault, but multiple male attackers. And for those of you who think, oh, that didn't happen, yes, it did. Use your brain. Kipura is by far the most proven rape defense system in the history of the world, because if it were not, the Americas would be populated by mulattoes. Americas would be 80% mulatto. Are the Americas north, central, and south 80% mulatto? No. then guess whose race defense system was working very, very good? Ours. That also means that women were extremely good at this. Yes, it does. And I think hands down history proves that the greatest Capoeira warrior of all time was a woman. Angola Ginga. The one whose name adorns the most popular movement of the system, Ginga. And that movement, by the way, is improperly named because, once again, it's named after a person. That movement comes from a skill set which has a number of African terms, but I'm going to go with Insanga because that's the most popular term. Insanga is the most popular term because Europeans mispronounce that word as Sangwar. And they believe that their mispronunciation and misunderstanding of that term still validates the use of the term. No, the hell it doesn't. It's Insanga. That's like, that would be like mispronouncing Gong Fu as Slung Chu, and having mispronounced it as Slung Chu for so long, you think that its frequent use justifies the word Slung Chu as being accurate. No, it just means that your dumb butt has been hella wrong for a long time. Say Gong Fu, you idiot. And that's what we're looking at here. Alright? That's exactly what we're looking at here, top to bottom. So if you have any questions or comments, leave it at the end of this video. Hit a like at your boy's video right here. I appreciate that. Go check out my website. We need you guys' support. We need all of your support. The website is at googlesites.com/attachedgymcapoeira. I've got new stuff coming for you. Focused lessons dealing with Ngoma ya Udanganyifu, the dance of deception, the skill set that is miscalled, the Ginga and a bunch of other movements. All that is wrong. I'm going to show you the right way to do it. And the science behind it, and the history behind it, and the proper terminology, and the spirituality which informs it. Alright? So, I'm going to also teach you guys Binyani Rahisi. All this in my introduction to fundamental focus lesson series. Binyani Rahisi is the skill set and the movement drastically, badly practiced, incorrectly practiced, in every possible way wrong, practiced as the whole A. That mess is about as wrong as you can get. That's about as wrong as Slung Chu and Gong Fu. That's about as wrong as coming up with a Nazi Germanic disrespectful term for Krav Maga and expecting all that stuff to be accepted. Alright? You already know what to do. Holla at your boy. Take care of yourselves. Alright? Be good to each other. Remember that love with a weapon and with intelligence conquers all. Asante sana. Amani. Ashe.